俺になら見られてよかったのか。わざわざこうして素足の姿を俺に見せるのは。
とも思わないわけではないですけど。
なら見せるな。そういうのは見せたい人にしかしちゃダメだろ。お。
見せたかったから見せに来たと言ったら。
Angel Next Door, episode 11. I have a lot of thoughts, so bear with me as I kind of like iron them all out. But here's my main thought, especially for those who click off early in the video. I feel like episode number 11 was the most filler of filler episodes. Nothing happened this episode that hasn't already happened before. It feels like this episode got us up to the point of where we were already at. They basically said, hey, remember where we left off last time where Amane and Mahiru were getting really close and they were about to kiss and they were about to do this and do that? Like, they were like, hey, okay, forget that. We're going to redo that and then we're going to get to that point once again. It's like this episode just felt like a huge waste of time, which leads me to believe that this was just a filler episode until we get to the last episode of the season. And I was really just not happy about it at all. Like, this episode was just a continuation of just pussyfooting around the fact that these two people are seemingly in love with each other or like each other. And, like, at this point, it's like, okay, something needs to happen. Something needs to break right here. Now, you know, in thinking about the episode, and I will sum it up, like, super duper quick. So, because, again, nothing happened in this episode. This episode started, and I have a lot of thoughts, too. I hope you stick around for them. But basically, it started off, Amane got into the top 10 for his class or for the school or whatever for his... When I say class, I mean, like, their grade. And she got number 1. They talk about a reward for getting in the top 10 for getting number 1. Mahiru doesn't want anything. Amane, you know, he had originally requested to lay on her lap, get his ears clean or whatever. Apparently that's like some really sexual shit in Japan or something. Immediately I had some thoughts on that. I was like, I literally wrote this down. I was like, the male libido in Japan must really be jacked up to get really overly excited by laying on someone's thighs and getting your ears clean. Now, I'm a man who loves to get pampered as much as the next guy. I think, you know, being pampered is awesome and it is enjoyable, but it's never anything sensual or sexual in my honest opinion. It's just something that you enjoy, something that somebody, especially if it's somebody that you like, it's just something that's pretty cool. Whether it's, you know, getting your hands or feet played with, or nails done, or ears cleaned, or massage, or anything. Maybe the massage can be like, you know, pretty close to that sexualness, but like otherwise, it's like for the most part, those pampering kind of things typically aren't like some overly sensual experience. So the male libido in Japan, at least the way that it's depicted in anime, must be closer to the truth than I think, and it must be really, really jacked up over there to really get like overly excited. Like, oh, if your ears are getting clean, you're like, whoa. Like, you know, it's just, I just can't wrap my mind around it. But regardless, I'm gonna blah blah blah. Okay, he falls asleep. She falls asleep. He sends her to her room. In her room, there's a picture of him. Again, duh, moron. She's in love with you. Blah blah blah. She tries to get her to, you know, in her half sleep, she tries to get him to sleep with her. When I say sleep, I don't mean anything sexual again. I mean literally just like, come lay next to me, let's cuddle kind of thing. Again, that whole libido thing, I'm gonna let it go. She asked about the picture on the desk later. He told her what happened. You know, he didn't see anything. And at this point, I was yelling to myself, just tell him you like him already, goddammit. And I'm gonna get to this point in a second. And then we skip to the next part where it's summer clothes time. She wants to show off her bare legs to him. There's a whole back and forth. Again, yelling at the screen like, come on already. And then the episode ends with her and him basically talking about how she's going to slightly change at school. Like, she doesn't really care about being the angel anymore. At this point, she has found somebody who knows the real her. So she's going to worry less about what others think about her at this point, because the only person that she cares about loves the real her, essentially. Or, you know, maybe doesn't love isn't the right word, you know, that's the truth, but the person that she cares the most about already likes the real person that she is, and she's confirmed it multiple times at this point. Okay, so that's it. That's all that happened in this episode. A complete waste of effing time. Now, there were some cute moments, this episode, like a couple of cute moments. I think the bare leg stuff, with showing off her legs a little bit and stuff. Again, the girls wear skirts to school, very natural thing. She made it more than what it is. He made it more than what it is. But regardless, I thought that was a really cute thing in the episode. Now, here's where my actual thoughts come in. Again, I feel like this was filler. I feel like this was a waste of time. I feel like there's a couple of cute moments, but it's not enough to fill 23 minutes of time. They basically got us to the same point where we were already at as far as love-wise and story-wise. Now, in looking at this, I was wondering, like, why is the story being depicted this way? And I was trying to put myself in the shoes of somebody who is 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, back in high school, and try to remember how my mentality was sophomore year, junior year, right in that middle of, freshman year, in that middle year, like, of high school. Like, what was my mentality like? Like, was I also like this? And my personal answer is I wasn't. And I understand that Japan is very different. People are very different. So then, I was like, okay, well, what is this back and forth, tension that they constantly have? Why is it that Mahiru obviously is head over heels? Why is the story being told this way? So my next question was like, well, what is the author? Like, typically these stories aren't written by somebody in high school living this moment, right? They're typically written by A, hindsight, and B, by an adult, typically like an older adult, somebody in their probably, early to mid to late 20s, typically, sometimes a lot older, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, well, who the hell wrote this story? So then I looked it up, and this specific story was written by a lady. So this was this story derives from a female, which, doesn't really mean anything. Some of my favorite stories ever are written by females. But that led me to the next part of, like, okay, that made it very different on how I thought about it, because in this anime, something very specific and intentional is the fact that Mahiru is in love with Amane. And she basically, like, how do I explain it, in that doesn't sound bad? The reality of life is, for the most part, women want men to make the first move or want them to be the aggressor. Now, they'll say left, right, and sideways that is not what they want, but 9 times out of 10, most women, that's what they want. They want the male to make the first move. They want the male to be the aggressor. They want the male to be the one to kind of like, dominate and really make that first move. So that kind of put it into perspective. Okay, this was a female written story, so it's from the perspective. I need to change my perspective from Amane to Mahiru, and she's trying to bait him to be dominant, make that first move, like, take me like you want me. And you have to kind of shift your ideology and your perspective, especially if you're male, to watching this. And for my female viewers, let me know in the comments if this is true or not. But you kind of have to shift your perspective if you're male, because, like, you think one way, and you're like, you might be like me, be like, yo, just tell me. But most of the time, if I think through all of my experiences, it was very, very rare occasions was it ever the female being the aggressor to me or telling me that she liked me. Now, did that happen? Yes, but if I counted 30 moments, 40 moments, maybe 8 of those was that situation. The other, 1/4 of the time, it was me making the move, which makes sense because, that's kind of what this is, right? So it's like, from the female perspective, it's like, if you love me, tell me. If you like me, tell me. If you want me, make me yours, kind of thing. As opposed to the opposite side, where we might be thinking like, oh, well, she's obviously the one deeper into the pool here. Like, she's obviously the one deeper in love. You tell him, and the moment you tell him and you open that door, you're going to get everything you want. He's just so unsure at this point, based on the parameters that were set, based on what you said specifically, because as males, we take, you say, don't do this. We're going to be like, I can't do that, because I want to respect this. This is somebody I really like. I got to make sure that I don't do what she just said to not do. But oftentimes what they mean is, don't do that unless you mean it. And it's like we don't always get that. So that's where I started to appreciate the story a little bit more, is realizing that A, the author was female, B, the author's writing Mahiru maybe as how she was, and maybe her life experience, maybe she was in love at some point and the guy just wasn't getting it. But it could have also been her fault, of she could have set some kind of wall or blockage, or was very specific as to like, this ain't gonna happen, and he took it that way, even though he might also be head over heels, which is what this story is. So again, it's all about perspective, but I just wanted to throw that gauntlet down of like, okay, I get the story a little more now, and it makes a little more sense of the only way we're going to get what we want as a viewer is if Amane steps up. And it seems like next episode's title is I forget what they called it, but next episode's title is "Say Goodbye to My Cowardice." So it sounds like Amane is about to, his balls are about to drop. So, all right, I went way over time. Let me know your guys' thoughts. See you guys next weekend for the last episode. Peace, my friends.